Well, you're absolutely right, 4 times, and you have to think that people living certainly in the city of Melbourne, where they've experienced more lockdowns than anywhere in Australia, and some of the strictest lockdowns in the world, are extremely fatigued by all this. They're stressed. They've had to deal with lack of seeing people, lack of work. Businesses are hurting as well. All right, let's get to that lockdown. Now, the lockdown, the 7-day snap lockdown for all of Victoria was scheduled to end at midnight tonight, but it's the number of cases, the speed at which the virus has been spreading at 63 cases and counting at last count. And the type of virus that health officials say, this highly infectious strain, that they have decided that they need to extend that lockdown for another 7 days. They said they simply can't afford to let the virus, let this growing cluster get out of control. Now, basically, they believe that this originated from a returned traveler, someone who was into the hotel quarantine system, somehow got out into the community. And one of the things that they're really trying to find are those mystery links, those cases where the virus jumped from the returned traveler to people in the community and continues to spread. Regional Victoria, the lockdown for regional Victoria will largely end at midnight tonight, meaning they'll still face some restrictions, but nowhere as strict as people living in Melbourne as well. Now, all of this has led to record testing each day over the last 4 or 5 days, and record numbers of vaccinations being handed out as a result of people being very concerned about the spread of this cluster. However, the state's acting premier, Victoria's state's acting premier, addressed the media just a short time ago. He was extremely critical of the federal government's vaccine rollout, which by now, as you probably have heard, has been extremely slow, not meeting any of its target. He said it was painfully slow, and he said despite the records being set, only 2% of all the people who live in Victoria have received only 1 shot so far of the COVID-19 vaccine. There is also widespread testing taking place in New South Wales here. In fact, just a couple of hours south of Sydney, where I'm standing right now. That's because an infected family from Victoria on holidays decided to visit that part of New South Wales. They spent several days there before returning back to Victoria and testing positive. Health officials believe they were infectious while they were in New South Wales. That led, as I said, to widespread testing. But at this point, there have been no cases reported of community transmission in this state.